Ho, ho, ho! Welcome to my live review of Monday Night SmackDown. Why am I wearing a Santa hat? Because, like Monday Night Raw, I want to make no sense whatsoever. It's May, so why not? Let's have a Santa hat on. Actually, no. I'd like to try to make some sense on here, so let's go ahead and break down this episode of Monday Night Raw. It's a new era in WWE. Vince McMahon kicks off the show, so you know that WWE means business when the boss, the chairman of WWE, comes out to kick off the show. Vince says that this will be a Raw for the ages. This will be a Raw that no one will ever forget. Right away, we have Roman Reigns come out just so Michael Cole can once again say, with so much enthusiasm, by the way, the big dog, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns comes out and Vince is like, well, if you try to give me the Superman punch, I have Cincinnati police ready to take action. Roman Reigns talked about his so-called unfinished business, stating that what Vince said several months ago about the "We Are the Authority" line was a lie. So basically, Roman Reigns is acting like the internet. Roman Reigns is taking our side, damn it, and saying that Vince McMahon told the fans that they would be the authority, and that was just a big charade. Roman talked about how Vince is allowing his spoiled children to run the show. Roman said he doesn't listen to Vince. He listens to the people. Roman said that he is opening the floodgates, and just as he says this, Daniel Bryan comes out of nowhere. The returning Daniel Bryan. And just because Daniel Bryan came back, he's cleared, he's wrestling again, I have to give Raw a bump in my letter grade just for Daniel Bryan. Now, what will be my letter grade for Raw? You're going to have to stay tuned and find out. So Bryan came out. He talked about how he was robbed at WrestleMania and he spent the last month in solitude. And he figured since Roman Reigns was going to be on Raw, Vince would be there and Bryan could show up and have an intellectual conversation with Vince. I guess he's not able to do that any other day of the week, only on Monday Night Raw, apparently. We had Kofi Kingston come out, and he's like, well, since Bryan was going to be there, he decided to be there as well. Or maybe Roman Reigns. I'm not even sure. I'm already getting confused because this show was confusing AF. Yeah, it was because of Roman Reigns. Kofi said that he saw Roman Reigns' tweet, figured he was going to be there, and he would show up as well. Just for the heck of it. Why not? Kofi said that Bryan did not have to go to Vince for a rematch. Bryan responded by saying Kofi's win was a fluke, and Bryan referred to Kofi as a pancake-throwing novelty act. Vince McMahon then introduced the groundbreaking, brand new change to WWE that's going to turn the ratings around. They're going to have millions of people tuning into Raw that gave up on the show now because of the, wait for it, wild card rule. What is the wild card rule, you ask? The wild card rule is basically 3 guys, or gals, I suppose, can show up on Raw from SmackDown and vice versa. So tomorrow night on SmackDown, we might see 3 people from Raw show up. It's the wild card. R.I.P. brand split. That's all I gotta say. Curtis Butler with a $2 super chat says, brand split? More like the bland shit. Ouch. That might be the savage line of the night so far. The night is young, so you guys still have a chance to top that. Power Packers 90 with a $1 super chat, no comment. Thank you for that, though, Power Packers. I do appreciate it. Guys, it's only 3 right now. We're still early in the review. Let me try to say that correctly. We still have time here. As of this moment in the review, it's only 3 guys, so you don't have to correct me. Don't want to spoil the people, the fine people watching right now that might think, oh, 3, that sounds reasonable. So don't spoil anything for later. As of now, it's only 3. So Bryan, of course, wanted his rematch, and this led to Drew McIntyre coming out. About 12 minutes into the show, we finally got a Raw guy coming out. Drew talked about how Roman Reigns feels the rules don't apply to him, and Roman Reigns went to SmackDown so he could duck Drew, and Roman Reigns thinks it's okay to punch his boss in the face. Drew called Roman an egomaniac, and then Vince decided, since this is all about shaking things up and turning WWE around again, Vince decided to make 2 WrestleMania rematches. Not 1, but 2. Lucky us. We're getting Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston defending the WWE title against Daniel Bryan right here on Monday Night Raw. And he refers to himself as a brilliant genius. So there you go. Who am I to doubt L. McMahon? Then all of a sudden, the party just keeps going. AJ Styles comes out. We have a commercial break. When we come back from break, it's still AJ and Vince in the ring. AJ is like, what are you doing? Basically cutting, I guess, a worked shoot promo on here, just wondering what the hell is going on with Vince, and is he completely off his rocker? Which the answer is yes, of course. He's like, what's up with the SmackDown guys on Raw? Vince said it's the wild card rule. Styles was suspicious about all this because this means that Roman Reigns' buddy, Seth Rollins, has some backup now. And AJ said maybe he'll go to SmackDown tomorrow and bring his friends. Does that mean we're going to see the club reunited? Not sure what that reference was, but we'll see. Basically, as Chris May said in the chat, a lot of talking here on this show. About the first 30 minutes or so of Raw was talking. Seth Rollins came out, said SmackDown was fine before AJ Styles got there and is fine now that AJ Styles is gone. Ouch. Rollins said that Raw is his show, and AJ recapped all the stuff that happened last week and said at Money in the Bank, nothing's going to change except he's going to hit the phenomenal forearm, and he will be standing over Seth Rollins as the new Universal Champion. Vince McMahon then announced, and this is groundbreaking, ladies and gentlemen, this is all about change and giving us something innovative and different. Vince McMahon, the creative genius, announces AJ Styles and Seth Rollins in action. However, they are going to be a tag team. Wow, this is so groundbreaking. Holy crap, we've never seen something like this before. 2 guys facing off at a pay-per-view, forced to team up. Bravo, Vince McMahon, you genius, you. Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat says, brand split 2016 to 2019 died faster than the first. Pretty much, I think that is a very safe thing to say at this point. So we had a tag team match, ladies and gentlemen. The 2 guys facing off, the 2 babyface characters forced to team up. They're not getting along, but they have to team up anyways, reluctantly. And we had AJ and Seth facing Bob the Lash and everybody's favorite heel right now, Baron Corbin, complete with his cue card intro. So yeah, basically the first 25-30 minutes of Raw was all the talking. We finally had the tag team match, which was pretty lengthy. I think it went something like 2 commercial breaks. Bobby Lashley somehow managed to not kill himself with a spear to AJ Styles on the outside. I think Lashley was able to break his fall with his hands, which I'm glad, because when I first saw the spear to the outside, I'm like, did he just kill himself there? And fortunately, when you saw the replay, you could see that he had his hands as he was landing on the ground. So thankfully, Lashley was okay there. It did look scarier than it actually was. We had, of course, and here we go, more groundbreaking stuff by WWE. Dissension amongst the babyfaces. AJ Styles accidentally hit Seth Rollins with the phenomenal forearm, and instead of wanting to help his partner, he walks off. Baron Corbin, of all people, pins Seth Rollins, the WWE Universal Champion. So there you go. Colin Andrew with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Colin. He says, Baron Corbin needs to add a cummerbund to his attire. How about just letting Baron Corbin have his old gear? Why does he have to come out there like the TGF Friday host when he's not the general manager anymore? I don't know. Is that too much to ask for? I guess it is. We had a recap of the Bobby Lashley, Miz, Shane McMahon stuff. Miz was backstage in the locker room waiting for Shane McMahon to arrive to the arena. We had a Sami Zayn promo. He said the fans got Roman Reigns. They got a WWE title match on Raw. What else are they going to complain about now? He said that the fans will not fix themselves because fixing themselves requires hard work and complaining is the easy way out. And he referred to the people as cowards. Power Packers 90 with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, don't make fun of the Slow Wolf's Olive Garden look. Ouch. That's another close one there for the Savage line of the night so far. Nice one, Power Packers. Sami Zayn was cutting his promo, and he got interrupted this week by Braun Strowman, who I guess finally had enough of Sami Zayn's crap. Strowman came out. Sami Zayn took his jacket off like he was going to fight, but then took off, ran away. Strowman chased him around. And then backstage, somehow Braun Strowman is more agile and has more stamina than Sami Zayn. Somehow managed to catch up to Sami Zayn. The J-Rock Freak with a $3 super chat says, thank you for saving me 3 hours every week. You're welcome, J-Rock Freak. I appreciate the super chat and the support very much. We had Strowman catch up to Sami Zayn backstage, and Sami Zayn was throwing paper towels at Braun Strowman to try to stop him. Ha ha ha, I guess that's supposed to be funny. And then Strowman finally caught up with Zayn, picked him up, and threw him in a dumpster, saying, who's the coward now? Strowman walked off, and then right on cue, a dump truck shows up, and Sami Zayn gets dumped into the dump truck. Okay. So I guess that's symbolically the end of Sami Zayn's promos. Not sure what this means or if next week he's going to be back doing his promos. I mean, I think in most cases that would kill somebody if they were in a dumpster and they were dumped into the dump truck. But maybe there was a lot of garbage in the truck and it broke Sammy's fall. I don't know. Speaking of garbage, we had the Lucha House Party with piñatas come out and they won a quick squash match. Why these guys getting pushed? I don't know. But I did not care about it whatsoever. Finally, Caitlin arrives in the chat room. I was wondering where she was at. Backstage, we had Natalya, Naomi, and Dana Brooke all receive scented invitations to Lacey Evans' match. And the request on the invitations was for them to all dress formally. Dress like ladies, of course. They felt that they were being set up, so they basically just took the invitations and threw them away. Next up, we had Ricochet versus Robert Roode, who we have not seen in 2 weeks since he defeated Ricochet. We actually had something that made sense here. Roode beat Ricochet, giving Ricochet his first singles loss on the main roster. So naturally, Roode is like, well, where am I in this Money in the Bank match? I want an opportunity. So Ricochet was defending his Money in the Bank match opportunity against Robert Roode. Makes total sense to me. But then you have Renee Young, who's supposed to be the babyface announcer, saying this idea made no sense and Roode did not deserve this opportunity. And Corey Graves was having to say, wait a minute, Roode beat Ricochet 2 weeks ago. Of course he deserves an opportunity. So I'm like, what is going on here? Renee Young's supposed to be the babyface. Corey Graves is supposed to be the heel. I'm confused. Renee Young was terrible tonight, by the way, doing the O's and oohs. I mean, I lost count this week. I know one week somebody made a video of all the times she did it on one show, and I wonder if that person did another video for this week, if it would double in length. Renee Young was really bad tonight, and I agree with the sentiment online that Renee Young should go back to doing the backstage announcing. She was better in that role, and yeah, it's not good. Not good at all. Anyways, this is WWE, so of course you gotta have your 50-50 booking. Nice push you had there, Robert Roode. Ricochet wins with the 630, which, you know, of the two, Ricochet should be the guy in the match instead of Robert Roode. Although Roode winning would be an interesting push for him, but I feel like that push is already over. It was nice while it lasted the entire 1 week. You tried, Robert Roode. You really tried. A very game Robert Roode, as I like to say. The Gameson 100 with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He said they should have had qualifying matches instead. Well, there you go. I mean, some people said that would have been better. Perhaps that would have been better than what we actually got. I mean, it's good to change it up every now and then, but yeah, it felt like the whole thing was just very much thrown together out of nowhere. Next up, we had Heath Slater making a cameo, saying hi to Rey Mysterio and Rey's son, Dominic. We found out through Rey's promo that Rey Mysterio will be getting a rematch against Samoa Joe for the United States Championship at Money in the Bank. And Rey went into his dressing room and left his son alone for some reason. And that's when Samoa Joe followed Dominic to the backstage area. We had a commercial break. When we came back, Samoa Joe did not, in fact, destroy Dominic, but instead gave him a warning and gave him a message to Mysterio. He's going to beat Mysterio again, and that was the gist of it. We had Lacey Evans come out for her squash match, which she won very quickly with the women's right. The Money in the Bank female participants, Natalya, Naomi, Dana Brooke, and Alexa Bliss were all out there to watch. After Lacey won her quick match, she said, "Thank you all to coming to this classy event." But then she warned them about if one of them wins Money in the Bank to not attempt to cash in on her, because if they do, they're going to come up short, just like Becky Lynch will come up short at Money in the Bank. This led to Becky 2 belts coming out. There was another brawl between them, and Lacey Evans retreated. This was fine. Nothing wrong with this, whatever. It was pretty standard stuff. We had a Daniel Bryan promo talking about how Kofi Kingston has been shilling pancakes and consumerism and how it's a threat to our very existence. And he said he will once again become the planet's champion. Power Packers 90 with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Power Packers. I really do appreciate it. Renee defended Sammy's promos being great before the commercial and then crapped on him after the commercial. Well, thank you for pointing that out, Power Packers. I did not catch that, and it doesn't surprise me, though. I mean, Renee's commentary was really bad, really inconsistent on this show. Maybe the worst she's been. I mean, it was pretty awful tonight. It was like Mike Adamle or Jonathan Coachman level bad this week. Maybe she's just phoning it in now that her husband's gone. Who knows? Of course, if somebody says that to her, she'll just say that's not true at all. So we'll never know. Unless she leaves the company and is free to say what she wants. We had the War Raiders, or the Heavy Machinery, or whatever they're called now, the Viking something, Viking Experience, Viking Raiders, whatever the hell they're called, versus the Tag Team Champions, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. No entrance for the Tag Team Champions, so you know what this means. Tag Team Champions lose again. Wow, what a concept. Tag Team Champions losing non-title matches seems to be a regular occurrence here on WWE programming. The War Raiders won. They pinned Zack Ryder. The crowd did not care about this match, and I don't blame them whatsoever for not caring. I mean, the crowd cannot even chant war when the War Raiders come out because they're the Viking Raiders now instead of the War Raiders. We had the Usos shown backstage sneaking around. We'll see what that was about in a few minutes. And I'm sure you guys will have a lot in the chat room to say about this upcoming segment. We had a Bray Wyatt video shown, another Bray Wyatt Firefly House of Fun or whatever they're calling it. We had Mercy the Buzzard revealed to have murdered the Rambling Rabbit. So R.I.P. Rambling Rabbit. Bray Wyatt said that Mercy the Buzzard can be forgiven for his actions just like him, and he wanted to reward Mercy the Buzzard by having picnic time with all the kids. And the kids were all just sitting there in total stoic trances, I guess you could say. Pretty much how all of us are while watching Raw. I mean, that's the best comparison I can give you. This was all right. I mean, it's starting to move in a darker tone, but yeah, I don't know how much this is going to impact Bray long term, if it's going to work for him or not. I think the jury's still out. Like, I don't know how it's going to play out until he actually shows up and does some matches. I mean, I feel like we may get a couple more weeks of this and then he'll start wrestling, and then we'll really be able to tell if this gimmick change is going to work for him or not. We had a Seth Rollins promo. He said AJ made his actions clear. And he said the next time AJ walks out and walks away from him, it will be with 2 black eyes and a broken face. And that will be at Money in the Bank. Moving on here, we had Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. Some cool moments in this match. I like that reverse Alabama slam to Reigns on the apron. But for the most part, I was bored with this match. It's your standard Roman Reigns match. You know he's going to kick out of everything. You know you just got to sit there and wait until Roman makes his comeback. So, you know, it's just like John Cena matches. Like, I know Reigns is not losing until the very end if he does lose. He's just going to kick out of everything. So, you know, that's what to expect in these matches. Reigns kept kicking out. McIntyre kicked out of a Superman punch, so there you go. A little bit for him to protect him, I suppose. Reigns, though, was on the verge of winning the match with a spear, and that's when Shane McMahon and Elias from SmackDown... Wait a minute. I thought the wild card was only 3 guys from SmackDown, but here you go. Elias from SmackDown, 4th guy from SmackDown to appear on Raw, interfering, causing the disqualification. So that is 4 for those of you counting at home. Justice21 with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Justice21. I appreciate it. He says, thank you for always keeping me up to date about Raw while I'm at work. Not a problem, Justice, and I really do appreciate your viewership and support. By the way, for those of you that would also like to help support the channel and the website, please spread the word about this video. Subscribe, tell a friend. If you know somebody who watches wrestling, let them know about this live stream. Word of mouth really goes a long way, so anything you can do to spread the word, I really do appreciate it very much. Just share this link with your friend who watches wrestling. Anybody you know who watches wrestling, have them check out this video. And we do have almost 300 people watching live right now, so thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the video. Again, if you like it, subscribe, tell a friend. Let's move on here. This is where the show gets really interesting for me. So we had all this zooming in and out when Elias and Shane McMahon hit the ring, and then The Miz came out with a steel chair, chased Shane McMahon to the back, and here we go. Okay, so Shane McMahon is running backstage, and he decides to hide behind a corner so The Miz will run past him. The only problem with this is that the cameraman's right there. And the cameraman is panning back and forth between the hallway and Shane McMahon. So Miz is running down the hallway, and if you're looking at this from the Miz's position, you see that the cameraman is panning back and forth, and you're like, well, wait a minute, what's the cameraman pointing at? Does The Miz stop? Nope. Miz just keeps running like a moron. And Shane McMahon gets away. But that's not all, folks, to quote Porky Pig. Shane McMahon was interviewed, and then Shane McMahon took off, got into his limo, well, attempted to get into his limo, but then Miz found him. Miz, with a steel chair, hits Miz in the back, or Shane McMahon in the back, my apologies. Miz hit Shane in the back with a steel chair multiple times, hit him in the gut, hit him in the back, and you would think that this would incapacitate the almost 50-year-old Shane McMahon, but nope. Shane McMahon has enough in him to hit a low blow on the fresh as a daisy Miz and then get into his limo and take off. So Shane McMahon, the best in the world. Shane McMahon, the best in the world. Gets the better of the Miz, despite the Miz having an equalizer, the steel chair. Wow. Talk about making Miz look like the most pathetic babyface on the planet. Miz could not even beat down Shane with a steel chair. Wow. And plus the whole running past Shane with the cameraman right there. Ay, ay, ay. Talk about ruining the Miz's character. I mean, this is just death for the Miz. Yuck. I know you have to make Shane look like a credible force, but maybe you shouldn't even have Shane in the match in the first place. Hint, hint. I don't know. This was bad. I mean, this was just really, really bad segment. And guess what, folks? We're not done yet. We are not done. We had a recap of the Usos Revival segment from last week. You know, that segment where the Revival were made fun of for shaving each other's backs. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that, but I guess we're supposed to think that it's embarrassing that they do that. We were set to have a match between the Revival and Anderson and Gallows. That's when the Usos came out before the match could even get going, and they introduced their brand new product, Usi Hot. And then they revealed that they used a little bit of that Usi Hot on the Revival backstage in their tights. And then all of a sudden it kicked in right on cue. You had Revival, their balls were itching. They started like trying to cool off their balls on the ring apron. I mean, I was laughing, but not because it was funny, because it was just so ridiculous and over the top. I mean, this was something like out of a cartoon. I mean, this reminded me of when Carlito and Hornswoggle were running around backstage, and then you had Hornswoggle throw one of those Wile E. Coyote holes up against the wall, and then Carlito ran into the black wall, thinking it was a hole. You know, something out of a Warner Brothers cartoon. This was like right up there with that. I mean, as far as being just completely cartoonish and over the top. And then Revival ran up to the stage. Usos gave them some water, but instead they were supposed to drink the water, but instead of drinking the water, they poured the water down their trunks, which actually made it worse for them. So yeah, poor Revival. I mean, I feel so bad for these guys, but hey, you know what? They're being troopers here. They're doing the comedy. They're doing whatever WWE asks them to do. But you got to think deep down inside, they're just dying inside about this. Poor guys. It's only going to get worse for them for not signing those new $500,000 a year contracts. There you go. Whew. All right. So next up, we had Kofi Kingston talking about how, you know, he's going to make the impossible the possible, prove that anything that might be seen as impossible is actually possible. I guess that's his new catchphrase. The impossible is possible. Kofi Kingston. Then we had No Way Jose come out, which, angle alert, you know Kofi Kingston, No Way Jose, is not coming out there unless some shenanigans are going down. And sure enough, Lars Sullivan comes out, which makes that the 5th person from SmackDown to appear on this show. Lars Sullivan comes out, destroys No Way Jose, destroys the entire Congo line, and then we have Vince McMahon backstage, and Vince says that, well, Elias showing up doesn't count because he's with Shane McMahon. Okay. Then Vince said, but you know what? Maybe I will start firing people if more than 3 show up on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. That's when Lars Sullivan walked in, gave Vince the stare of doom, and Vince was like, well, you know what? Maybe we'll do 4 instead of 3. And then he said, good talk, Lars, and then Lars walked off. So there you go. Power Packers 90 with another $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Power Packers. You are the MVP tonight, so thank you so much. He says, WWE.com article says, this is up to M. This is up to them, not M. And that's regarding the revival, of course. You know, that will the humiliation of the revival continue according to the WWE article? That is up to them, which, of course, people read as a reference to the revival not signing their new contracts. Power Packers 90 says, this is just bullying them to get revival to re-sign away from AEW. So lame. Yep, I agree with you. I agree with you very much. So then we had the main event of the evening. We had Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. Decent match, but, you know, not as good as the WrestleMania match, nor would I expect it to be. Kofi Kingston was able to break out of the LeBell Lock. Bryan came close on several occasions to winning the title, but in the end, Kofi Kingston did in fact retain the WWE title with the Trouble in Paradise. So there you go. Kofi Kingston actually wins a match as WWE champion. So already his title reign is better than Rey Mysterio's from 2006 because at least Kofi's winning some matches as champion. The champion actually doesn't lose a match for once. So that's nice. That was one of the highlights of the show. Bryan being back was one of the highlights, but pretty much everything else on this show was hot garbage. So now it's time for that letter grade. Daniel Bryan brings it up. Main event having a clean finish brings it up. Everything else was meh. So I am going to give this show a D+. Was it effective in getting more people interested in the product? Probably not. To me, it was very lazy, and it's a desperate attempt to try and get the numbers up. And you're pretty much further killing the brand extension by doing what you're doing. So, yeah, I think it was more counterproductive than creative and causing fans to be more intrigued about the future. I guess we're supposed to be now. Random people from Raw are going to show up on SmackDown. Random people from SmackDown are going to show up on Raw. It's lazy. It is what it is. It's very lazy. So let's see. Ryan gives it a B+, so what do I know? Although Jeremy McGill gives it an F. John Tompkins gives it an F. Michael Wayne gives it a D. Noah Foster gives it a D+, same as me. Offman Rules gives it a C, so better than what I gave it. Colin Andrew with a C, so some of you more generous than me, although I am seeing some Fs here. Space Force with an F. Samuel with an F. Ma Wrestling with a D. Chris Mace says the big D. And Avengers Fan 167 gives it an F-. And Kayfabe Candy Ass doesn't even do the Goth Babes. That's how disgusted he was. F all day, he says. F this show. And Power Packers 90 with another $1 super chat. Thank you for that, Power Packers. Power Packers is the MVP for tonight's NoDQ live stream. I appreciate it very much. And yes, Virtue, I'm glossing over your comments. If you guys want to hear Virtue's opinion, you're going to have to wait for the NoDQ review later this week, because I'm sure he will bring up all this stuff and he will express his disgust for Kofi retaining the WWE title. Kayfabe Candy Ass says -5 Goth Babes. Well, there you go. So that's it for the Monday Night Raw recap. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Head over to NoDQ.com for the very latest fallout from Raw. I'm sure Tuesday will be an interesting day with the ratings. We'll see if it helped out at all. I believe there were like 2 NBA games, 2 NHL games, and I'll be surprised if Raw does much over 2 million viewers, but we'll see. I will be back after SmackDown. We'll see some guys from Raw and SmackDown. I'm sure we will. So that'll be an interesting show. Will it be a good show, though? That remains to be seen. So tune in for the next episode after SmackDown.